Hi, from Dr. Barry, London News in Melbourne. I'd like to show you two clips. One from Sky News, The Outsiders, a fantastic program which absolutely, believe it or not, tells the truth. And at the end of that one, I'd like you to have a look at Fox 8 News. Another interesting information coming from the United States about the riots, the truth behind the riots. The whole thing from word go, confinement, viruses, we've been lied to. And if you haven't worked it out by now, you most certainly got a problem. Sadly, the people watching this now have worked it out, but it's the 96% of the people who are still walking around believing there's a virus chasing them around the garden, and they're staying in their houses, wearing masks, breathing in what they're supposed to be exhaling out, and making them, lowering their immune systems and making themselves sick. They still believe it. It's political. Stop watching the television. It's lying to you, lying straight into your face. There is no government. We have nothing more than corporations. They have masquerading as government. We have no politicians. They're all employees of these corporations. There is no local government. There's councils, corporations. You have been ripped left, right and centre, and what are you going to do about it? Absolutely nothing, because the people in the knowledge watching this now try to tell you that this exists. What will you do? You will not listen. You will obey. You're waiting for this corporation, the Victorian one, the New South Wales one, the national one, to tell you that it's safe to go outside because they say it is. Black lives matter? Of course they do. Everybody's lives matter. You think if you wanted to get a protest in any city, any town in Australia to help somebody with a disease, that you'd get more than 15 people out there helping? No, you wouldn't. George Soros, the people with the money, put millions and millions of dollars into organising these protests worldwide. You have become victims of your own stupidity. Okay. Have a look at this clip from Sky News. Really interested in The Outsiders. He tells the truth. And then have a look at our dear friends from Fox News. Again, another station that tells the truth. For me to say the media actually tell the truth is pretty good. Well, there's two organisations that are actually making an enormous big effort to give you the truth. And it's up to you to get off your butts and watch it.
Well, I'm just going to come right out and say it. We have been thoroughly, comprehensively and disgustingly betrayed. All of us. For months now, the good and decent citizens of our country have put up with teenagers being fined $1,000 for going for a walk, people hassled sunbathing in parks by cops in their cars, people being arrested and fined by roaming gangs of cops for going to the beach, denied seeing our loved ones, told we couldn't visit Mum on Mother's Day, being accused of killing people if we play golf, not allowed to hold proper funerals, and watched our economy and the future prosperity of our kids disappear down the dunny. And it was all a lie. Either there is a pandemic or there isn't. Either our governments had the right to lock us down or they didn't. Yesterday, the premiers made a mockery of this nation and the loyalty of its people, of you and of me. If a single person dies from a coronavirus infection traced back to any of yesterday's Black Lives Matter demonstrations, everybody responsible for that death, from the Premier to the Police Commissioner to the judges, must immediately resign, and a lot of them, including the organisers of the rallies, must be prosecuted for manslaughter and recklessly endangering our lives. If the pandemic is real, then our most vulnerable Indigenous Australians now have a potential death sentence hanging over them. So much for Black Lives Matter. Clearly not to the people who marched in our cities yesterday, endangering Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians alike. At the very moment restrictions were being lifted, shame on you. Or was it all just a con? Were the states denying us our constitutional rights and had no authority to shut down our businesses and shut down our lives? If so, the premiers and police chiefs and those chief medical officers lied and they must go. If the virus was defeated back in April, as I have repeatedly said on this show, then the premiers are responsible for destroying our businesses, destroying our economy, and destroying our kids' prosperity for no reason at all. And in doing so, you have recklessly destroyed lives and careers. The premiers have shredded the compact between the governed and those governing. Scott Morrison must immediately dismantle his ridiculous national cabinet. We do not want these clowns having any further say in our national affairs. I don't want Dan Andrews or Anastasia Palaszczuk or any of the other idiots having anything to do with ruling my life. They are a joke.
Welcome to Waters World. I'm Jesse Waters. We've come a long way on race relations in this country, and there's still a long ways to go. But what happened the last 2 weeks isn't the way to go. A righteous protest was hijacked by criminals and domestic terrorists. George Floyd's family begged for the violence to stop, but the violence continued. Small business owners tried to protect their stores from looting mobs and were viciously attacked. It's really hard to watch. But it's important to see what's really going on, because the rest of the media is lying to you about how pure this so-called protest is. Innocent truck drivers are getting pulled over, pulled out of their big rigs and just beaten. A few days ago in St. Louis, a retired police captain was guarding a store and was shot dead by looters. It was recorded on Facebook Live. And when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Remember? That's what the president said? And he was right. The media barely covered this. Black American murdered, doing his job. His name, David Dorn. Does a black life matter more when it's taken by a white police officer? Does a black life matter less when it's taken by another black man? The answer is that all black lives matter equally. Here are the actual facts.
Out of 10 million arrests, police officers were involved in fatal shootings 1,004 times. 1,004 times. 41 of those were unarmed people. The police shot unarmed people. 19 white people, unarmed, were shot and killed by police last year. Nine were black. 19 whites, 9 were black. There were 89 cops killed in this country in the line of duty last year. Nobody's talking about them. Nobody's talking about the 82 people that were shot in Chicago last weekend in 48 hours.
The Wall Street Journal reports that a police officer is 18 times more likely to be killed by a black male than an unarmed black male is to be killed by a police officer. Now, I'm not trying to downplay what happened in Minneapolis, and I'm not challenging the feeling of black Americans who feel targeted and unfairly hassled and abused by police. And I'm acknowledging that there are problems with race and police in America. I just want to share the facts. And the facts are these. Everyone is being hurt by these violent mobs. You don't protest the abuse of an innocent person by abusing other innocent people.
The problem that bothers me, you says Black Lives Matter. I've worked here part-time. Plus, I'm a part owner of this store. You said Black Lives Matter. Why don't you choke me? I'm black.
Tell him, sister.
Look what you did to my store.
Tell him, sister.
No!
Look what you did. The Democrats, big corporations, the media, all sucked up to the mob mentality, and they ransacked their buildings anyway. The mob vandalized the AFL-CIO, CNN headquarters, black, white, Asian, and Hispanic-owned businesses, rich neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, churches, and war memorials. They vandalized the Gandhi statue in Washington. I mean, the Gandhi statue. You want to march in a movement with these people? They just want to destroy for the sake of destruction. Watch.
Oh, we're on your side! We're on your side! Holy sh**! We're on your side!
See what I mean? They don't care. The media, they definitely don't care.
This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly, but fires have been started.
Our country was started because this is how the Boston Tea Party, rioting. So do not get it twisted and think that, oh, this is something that has never happened before, and then this is so terrible, and where are we, and these savages and all of that. This is how this country was started.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Yeah, so, okay, they're just dumping tea in the water. Is that what they're doing? The guy's reporting, it says it's like a peaceful protest. There's fires in the background. I mean, that's fake news. Protests, yeah, they're supposed to be peaceful. And this is from the network that said, for the last 3 years, the rule of law must be upheld. But that's what the left always says, right? It's just selective application of the law, right? They're so twisted up, even Barack Obama disagrees with them. Here's the former president on the riots just a few years back.
When individuals get crowbars and start prying open doors to loot, they're not protesting. They're not making a statement. They're stealing. They're destroying and undermining businesses and opportunities in their own communities. My understanding is you've got some of the same organizers now going back into these communities to try to clean up in the aftermath of a handful of protesters, a handful of criminals and thugs who tore up the place.
Okay, so Obama's saying the same thing you and I are saying. But the media in 2020, they've just lost their minds. Even when journalists themselves are under assault.
There's Fox News reporters getting chased out by the George Floyd protesters here in front of at Lafayette Park. Look, there's water being thrown on the reporter here. Hey, look, this protester just took his mic. And they just threw the mic at the reporter here.
Demonstrators are now launching something that appears to be some sort of smoke grenade that they're throwing inside CNN Center right now. They're kicking it back out, guys. This is live happening in front of your eyes.
Americans died in the riots. Network News barely mentioned it. So I don't want to hear a thing about violent Trump supporters ever again. The left just torched and looted America for a full week. People died, thousands injured. What did a Trump supporter do? I think he smirked at a man banging a drum. Remember that? Now, if the Tea Party was involved in beatdowns, crime sprees, and arson, the media would call it a civil war. If guys wearing MAGA hats were attacking cops, I have the feeling the libs would be calling the National Guard. If the lockdown protesters committed just 1% of the violence that the rioters did, they'd all be in jail. Remember how the media shamed the small, peaceful lockdown protests, but now they're gung-ho on the massive riots? Remember how getting sunburned at the beach was a threat to public safety, but burning whole cities now is allowed? Remember when Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer wouldn't let you leave the house? Now look at her. So much for social distancing. These pathetic politicians are saying you can burn a church, but you can't go to church. Politicians shut down businesses and let them burn. You can loot, but you can't shop. That's not right. And now police are under attack. All over America. You see police officers getting things thrown at them, get mowed down in the street. Police officers have been shot. They've been stabbed. The dangerous offspring of this movement is, are you ready for this? Defund the police. Watch.
Right now is the time to defund the police and really invest in our community.
We need to defund the police or abolish the police.
If you are not right now talking about defunding the police and you do not care about the platitudes that you have spouted off about Black Lives Matter.
Major cities are pushing for massive cuts in police departments in the midst of this mayhem. New York, LA, Phoenix, all proposing major cuts. So the cities are being burned and looted, businesses crippled, and the left wants police departments decimated.
Anyway, Dr. Barry, I hope you enjoyed those 2 clips. I hope I haven't upset anybody. I'd hate to wake up somebody who didn't want to believe there was fairies in the garden and tooth fairies and Father Christmas still existed. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and watch out for the next video. More interesting stuff coming very, very soon. Thanks for watching and bye for now.